Hi everybody, and welcome to our new little mini-series of my David Bowie album collection. So this is going to be part one, so thank you everybody for joining me. I hope you're going to enjoy this video. Quick introduction. As you know, David Bowie was a fantastic artist and, you know, a brilliant singer, songwriter, saxophone player and guitarist, and also quite a good keyboard player as well. His recording career goes all the way back to 1964, when he was first on a single under the name of Davy Jones and the King Bees, I think it was, and the single was Liza Jane. We're not going to go quite as far back as that. The records that I am going to be showing you are all LP records. They're sort of in chronological order, but might not be sort of like when they actually did come out. So we're going to start in 1967, but before that David Bowie had recorded for Violation label, which was part of Decca, Parlophone and Pi. In 1966 he did actually sign to DVAM Records, which was actually part of Decca. And this was his first album, so we'll look at his first album and we're going to take it from there. I'm going to try and make these videos roughly sort of 20 to 30 minutes long. I don't want them to be any longer than that. And it is going to be an occasional series, so therefore you might not get a part every week unless you want to. If you want me to do it, I will do a part every week. So let's start off with David Bowie's first album, simply called David Bowie. This came out in 1966. Now this isn't an original copy, unfortunately. This is a reissue from the early 2000s. Let me put my glasses on, folks. I was determined to do this without my glasses, but hey ho. So this is David Bowie when he first started, and this is not the David Bowie that did things like Ziggy Stardust and stuff like that. It sounds completely different. In fact, he sounds more like an actor stroke singer called Anthony Newley, or even Tommy Steele on some of these songs. Some fantastic songs on it though, but it's not really what you'd expect if you think of David Bowie. Side one is Uncle Arthur. Then we've got Sell Me a Coat, Rubber Band, which was actually released as a single and got nowhere. Love You Till Tuesday, which was released as a single and got nowhere. There is a Happy Land, We Are Hungry Men, and When I Live My Dream. Side two is Little Bombardier, Silly Boy Blue, Come and Buy My Toys, Join the Gang, She's Got Medals, Maids of Bond Street, and Please Mr Gravedigger. Now also at the same time when this LP was originally released in 1967, and I think it was released on the same day as Sgt Pepper, to be honest, there was another single released called The Laughing Gnome. I was walking down the high street when I heard footsteps behind me. That's not on this album. Now, because this is a reissue, you get it in mono and stereo. So it's a 2-record set, although the original LP would have just been either, I think it would only ever released in mono. So you do get a little bit of background information there. Fantastic album in a lot of ways. It's a very strange album because, like I say, it's not, if you think of David Bowie, you probably wouldn't think of this album. It wasn't a great seller at the time, hence why now original copies of this go for hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I'll just show you one of the labels because both labels are the same. So you get that in this, and then you get a little bit there if you wanted to freeze it. If you hear some noise, it's because it's absolutely chucking it down with rain here in the UK, good old UK. So this is what the original labels would have looked like. Very underrated album in a lot of ways, this is. I think it is more appreciated now than what it was when it was released. When it was released, this did not chart. And very soon his contract with DVAM was ripped up, basically, which is a shame. There is some nice songs on it. The musicianship is very, very good, and it was actually produced by Mike Vernon and engineered by Gus Dungeon, who actually went on to produce people like Elton John, didn't he? So a fantastic album. You can pick this up fairly cheaply, to be honest. So that is my first Bowie album. A little bit of hype there. Then we've got this one, which I did feature in a video a few months ago. This is David Bowie in the beginning. This is basically alternative takes and things, but this does go back to 1965 recordings on here. So on side one you've got That's a Promise and Silly Boy Blue. They were recorded in October 65 at MRG Jones Studios, Maiden Vale, Surrey. That's a Promise, I think, is an unreleased song, sort of, because this is like a semi-official release. He did go on to release a version of Silly Boy Blue on his debut album. Then you've got Love Me Till Tuesday and Over the Wall We Go. That was recorded in December 1966. Did you hear that thunder then? Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening. Me, Galileo. So I hope you can hear this okay with all this going on behind us. Yes, you got Love You Till Tuesday and Over the Wall We Go, which was recorded at Decca Studios in December 1966. Love You Till Tuesday is a very, very early rendition of the song. And Over the Wall We Go, I think he gave that to Paul Nicholas, who recorded it under the name of Oliver for some reason. And that is it's a very, very funny song. Then you've got Let Me Sleep Beside You and Karma Man. They were recorded in September 1967, A.R. Addison Studios. Let Me Sleep Beside You is a fantastic song, and Karma Man is also a fantastic song. They should have been released as a single, like an A and a B side, but they never were. And on the B side you've got Love You Till Tuesday, When I Live My Dream, Little Bombardier, Silly Boy Blue, and In the Heat of the Morning. These were recorded for Top Gear, which was a radio show, not to be confused with the thing that Jeremy Clarkson used to do. And it was recorded at Piccadilly One Studios on the 18th of December 1967. So by the time we recorded those few tracks there, this album had actually been released. It wasn't unknown as such in the early late 60s, mid to late 60s, because it did appear on a lot of shows, and John Peel used to champion him a lot as well. Then we've got this. This is a very, very strange album. This didn't come out till 1984, but the recordings of it were from 1966 and 1967, and it was to a film called Love You Till Tuesday, which was basically, it wasn't a film like Had a Story, it was just like promotional videos that his manager at the time, who I think was called Kenneth Pitt, was trying to get to promote him in, to try and get him a better record contract and everything. This did come out on DRAM, and this does have some really, really good songs on it. This has side one, it's Love You Till Tuesday, then The London Boys, then Chingaling, which is a fantastic song. The Laughing Name is on here. Liza Jane, which we've just mentioned, was the first single that David Bowie ever was on, although he was credited as Davy Jones on that one, and the King Bees. When I'm Five, a fantastic song. Side two is the original version of Space Oddity that he later re-recorded and had a major hit with in 1969. Sell Me a Coat, Rubber Band, Let Me Sleep Beside You, and When I Live My Dream. Now the strange thing about this album is that all the songs on here that are from his first LP are re-recordings. They're not the same recordings that are on the LP. You could used to actually get this on YouTube. I don't know if it still is. This is a historical significance because you've got the original version of Space Oddity, which is completely different to the one that he had a hit with. Same words and everything, but done in slightly slower sort of like way. And of course it's got The Laughing Name. Chingaling I don't think ever had an official release anywhere else apart from this album. And then you've got the aforementioned Liza Jane, which unless you've got a few £100 to buy it on the single, if you could ever find it, is the only place you could get that at this time. Came out after David had had, some really, really big hits with Let's Dance and things like that. So I think it was Decca trying to cash in on his fame at the time. But it is actually a good album. It stands out as a fantastic album in its own right. So there's that one, and then I've got another copy, which are both exactly the same. And the funny thing with this is they gave it a catalogue number of Bowie 1. I think he got royalties and stuff from it. I'm not 100% sure. Then we've got one of the first ever David Bowie compilation albums, which came out in 1970, I think, just after he'd had a hit with Space Oddity. Again, this is all stuff from Decca or Divan. This is the rarer copy with his curly hair. They later did another version where it's more like a Ziggy Stardust character. So this is on Decca, and it is stereo. So you've got mainly a lot of the songs that was on his debut LP. You've got Uncle Arthur, Love You Too Tuesday, There Is a Happy Land, Little Bombardier, Sell Me Coat, Silly Boy Blue. You've got The London Boys, which is originally a B-side of the single. Then you've got Karma Man, Rubber Band, Let Me Sleep Beside You, Come and Buy My Toys, She's Got Medals, In the Heat of the Morning, fantastic song, and then When I Live My Dream. So like I say, this is the rarer version, and these usually go for about £20–25. I'll show you the labels. It's the original inner sleeve. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the labels on this. That is side 1. And then that is side 2. Again, it's a fantastic album. This one is, like I say, the rarer version of it because it's got a different cover. He says. Can't get into it now. What's wrong with this? Yes, that's that one, and then that's the later version from 1973. So the covers are slightly different. That's known as the curly haired cover. Same track list and everything on that, same labels, and I've got another version of it there. But to be fair, these are nice little albums to have. This one you can usually find for around between the £5 and £10 mark with this photo. Then we've got In the Beginnings, Volume 2. I think Volume 1 was by someone else, it wasn't by David Bowie. And again, this is on Divan. And this is very similar to that. You've got Uncle Arthur, Rubber Band, Love You Till Tuesday, We Are Hungry Men, Little Bombardier. Side 2, you've got Silly Boy Blue, Come Buy My Toys, Join the Gang, Maids of Bond Street, and Please Mr Gravedigger. So basically, this is the same as his first album, which was just called David Bowie. But Decca, or Divan, still hadn't finished there. So then, in the late 70s, early 80s, came this. David Bowie, Images, with a picture of David from 1974. Bear in mind, all these are from the 1960s, so it is a 2-record set, so you do get a hell of a lot of songs on this. You get, side 1 is Rubber Band. Then you've got Maids of Bond Street, Sell Me a Coat, Love You Till Tuesday, There Is a Happy Land, Where Only Children Go, The Laughing Name, The Gospel According to Tony Day, which was the B-side of The Laughing Name, Did You Ever Have a Dream Come True? Did you ever have a dream come true? Where the hero is a man named you. Brilliant song. Uncle Arthur, We Are Hungry Men, When I Live My Dream. Side 3, Join the Gang, Little Bombardier, Come Buy My Toys, Silly Boy Blue, She's Got Medals. Side 4 is Please Mr Gravedigger, The London Boys, Karma Man, Let Me Sleep Beside You, and In the Heat of the Morning. So that is the track listing. If you want to freeze and zoom in, it is a gatefold. And this used to be very, very, very easy to find. But just lately, you know, when I've been going to record fairs and things like that, I haven't actually seen this for a while. Does it say when this was released? No. So this is side 1. And then that is side 2. I think this also was split into 2 separate albums, and they called it another face or something like that. So I thought I just saw a flash of lightning. This is sides 3 and 4. I'll just show you while we're here, because I know a lot of people like to see the labels. That is side 3, and that is side 4. So basically, if you ever saw this and you hadn't got any of the other albums that I've already shown you, you wouldn't need them. Or possibly you would still probably need the Love You Till Tuesday soundtrack album. Yeah, fantastic album. Quite hard to get now, this one. So that's that. And then we're going to finish off with his first like proper album that got anywhere in like record sales and things, which is actually called David Bowie. Not to be confused with the album from 1967. This was originally on the Mercury Records label, and if you ever see one, I'd get it, because it is worth anywhere up to about £2,000 for original copy. Unfortunately, this is not an original copy. This is a reissue from the 2000s. Very psychedelic, sort of like hippie trippy back cover. You will know the songs on this. So you've got Space Oddity, you've got Unwashed and Somewhat Slightly Dazed, you've got Letter to Harmine and Genetic Committee. Then side 2 is Janine, An Occasional Dream, Wild Eyed Boy from Free Cloud, God Knows I'm Good, and Memory of a Free Festival. This was produced by Tony Visconti, except Space Oddity, which was produced by can't remember who produced it now. Yeah, Space Oddity was produced by Gus Dudgeon and arranged by David Bowie and Paul Buckmaster. And it was recorded at Trident Studios, London, June to September 1969, with Ken Scott as the engineer, who went on to engineered a few of the Beatles' early albums, didn't he? So you do get the lyrics and everything. I don't know if this is how the original one came, or if it's just this version. Because it is actually quite a nice album. I think this is a slightly remixed. This is the original, what had the original in the sleeve would have been. And then they've done on the originals, where that says Bowie there, it would have said Mercury. Not Freddie Mercury. Mercury as in the record label at the time. Which is a bit strange, because the album came out on Mercury, but Space Oddity, the single, came out on Philips, didn't it? Which is a bit strange. Yeah, fantastic album. So this was like his proper sort of like debut album. I think it did sort of like get into the lower reaches of the LP chart in the UK. Of course, Space Oddity is the song that like kicked his career. Most people think that was the first song that he'd ever been on, but as we've said, you know, he had been recording for, you know, 5 years before he made Space Oddity. To some extent, he was quite successful in his own right before this album and Space Oddity came out, because he was always featured on radio shows and things like that, and toured and things like that, but I don't think ever really made much money. Again, that's the back cover. So that is David Bowie, the 1969 album by David Bowie, not to be confused with the David Bowie album from 1967. They are two completely different albums and they've got completely different context and content. Now, when Bowie really became famous in the early 70s, that album was re-released as Space Oddity. So this is an original copy from 1972, I think it was. So you're more like the Ziggy Stardust sort of character there, isn't it? And back. So nothing like that. To be honest, on this album and the David Bowie album, apart from Space Oddity, the rest of the songs are very sort of like singer-songwriter, even a bit folky in places. The contents of this are exactly the same as the other album, in the same order and everything. It wasn't remixed or anything like that. It's just that by this time he was on RCA, so RCA decided to cash in on it, basically. So that is side 1, RCA Victor. And then that is side 2. Lovely record. Yeah, I'm very, very happy that I've got most of these records, because if I was starting to buy or starting to get a David Bowie collection now, it would cost me a fortune. I was lucky, most of these I didn't spend a hell of a lot of money on. You can get this that has a poster with it as well, which I haven't got, to be honest. And then there's another copy of it there, which is exactly the same. Yeah, David Bowie is one of my musical heroes. Apart from the Beatles, I think my David Bowie collection is the next biggest collection of an artist, if that makes sense. So we've done based on 1964 to 1969 on here. So this is like the early years. So the next video will start off at 1970 and we'll see how it goes from there. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope the rain and the thunder didn't put you off too much and that you could hear me okay. What's my favourite early David Bowie album? Well, to be honest, it is either this copy of the 1969 Mercury album, which, as I've said, if you ever see an original copy of this, I don't think you'll get it for under £500. That though is a really, really nice album, and it's constructed well and everything. If you're just a casual listener, then I'd recommend you try and check this one out, because you've got basically all of his stuff from DRAM on there. I must admit that I do like this album. I think this is a fantastic album. I think I know it was made as a cash-in thing from when he started to be after he'd had the hit with Space Oddity. So Decca, in their wisdom, thought, oh well, we'll make some money out of him. But they weren't the first record company to ever do that, was there? Because Polydor did it with the Beatles, didn't they, as well? But that is the one to look out for if you're going to buy it, with the curly hair cover. Love You Till Tuesday soundtrack is just that. It is a soundtrack album. That is worth getting though, because they are slightly different versions of the songs, like the different takes of the songs off his first album. And you can usually pick these up for around the £20 mark anyway. They're not going to cost you the earth, he says. But I think, in all honesty, my favourite early David Bowie album is this one. A lot of people might not agree, and they might say, well, obviously the 1960 album is a better album because it's got some hits on it. But technically this has got hits on it. They just weren't hits as in a hit single. Like I say, Love You Till Tuesday was a single. Rubber Band was a single. It hasn't got the third single, which was the Laughing Name on it. But before this was released, I don't know if I've said this, before he signed for DRAM, he had a spell in 1964. He did one single for Violation under the name David Bowie, David Jones and the King Bees. Then he did 3 singles, I think it was, for Parlophone, which got absolutely nowhere at all. And then he did 3 singles for Pie as well, which I have got the recordings somewhere, but I can't think where they are. I don't know where they are. No. But if you ever see any of those singles, they're worth a fortune. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. As I say, if it is going to be an occasional mini-series, so I'm not going to be turning back on the Beatles or anything like that. I've been having people commenting me and texting me saying, we know you like David Bowie, can you show some of the albums? So I think this is the easy way to do it. Just do it in little segments like this. Try to keep it under half an hour, which I've just about done, haven't I? I think, yeah. So the next instalment will be starting off in the 1970s at 1970. I hope you've enjoyed these records that I've shown you. Some of them are pretty rare. They're not mega rare, but you know, a lot of these a lot of these have been out of print for years. Don't think you can get that version anymore, because if you go into your shops and want a brand new copy, it's that version there. That one's been out of print for years. That one's been out of print for years. That one I don't actually think was a British one anyway. That's from West Germany. That's quite a rare one with the curly hair. What else have we got? These have been out of print for years. Although I think you still can get this on a DVD, I think. And I think you get on a CD with a slightly different title. That's a good one to get. You can actually still get that. I bought that on our recent trip to Liverpool. And this one you can still get, but like I say, the original versions of this, the original mono version of this, will cost you a couple of £100 minimum. So that's it. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Just a quick shout out to all the new subscribers and everybody that has been subscribing. It's gone a bit mad at the minute. I don't know what I've done, but my subscriptions are going up, my viewing figures are going up, my comments are going up, my likes are going up. And it's all down to you lot out there, so I hope that you are going to enjoy this little mini-series as well. Like I say, I'm not going to be turning me back on the Beatles. There's still a lot of Beatles stuff to come, some which might come later today or maybe tomorrow. You know, I just thought it'd make a little change because people had been asking me to show you some of my David Bowie collection. So that's what we're doing, folks. So until the next time, please stay safe. If you're not subscribed, by the way, just think about subscribing. It is free. It doesn't cost a penny. And if you are subscribed, tell your friends. Tell your friends, say, oh, you know, Beatle Dave's alright, you know. It's not just Beatles, it does do things on other things occasionally, on other artists. So I'm going to wish you all a very, very happy weekend. Like I say, it's chucking it down in Derby today. Whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Thank you to everybody that is subscribing, liking my videos, you know, viewing my videos and leaving me comments. I love reading your comments, to be honest. And that's going to be it. So we're just on 29 minutes now, so I've done it for under half an hour. If you've reached this to the end, thank you very much. Well done. And David Bowie, fantastic musician, sadly missed by all of us, I'm sure. But check this one out. If you ever get this is a lovely album. Okay, that's going to be it, folks. So until the next time, stay safe, everybody. Remember, you are the Beat in Beatle Dave. Love to you all. Love to you all.